Hey everyone, and welcome back to A Spiritual Journey. This week I'm going to be talking about a practice and an experience that I had with Chi and Prana, the internal energy flow, that life force, and how it was amplified by the practice I have been doing of just being divinely content with what is, being totally accepting with what is. So I hope you enjoy. So the main thing I want to talk about this week is Chi, or Prana, or energy flow, astral energy within the body. We talked about this in the second episode when I went through the astral bodies, and it's kind of described that there are different energy bodies within the astral. So emotions can be seen as one of these energetic forms. Chi, Prana, light, various different frequencies of energy that make up a less dense space. Now, Chi specifically, or Prana, they're kind of interchangeably depending on whether you're coming from the Chinese traditions or you're coming from the Sanskrit root. But what it's really described as is life force. It's an internal energy system that maybe you've heard of the chakras or the meridians that kind of flows through our body, and it plays a really significant role in the awakening process, or within specific traditions they utilize this energy to play a role. Is it absolutely necessary? No. But can it be a very powerful unlocker of deeper understanding and flow of energy? Yes, absolutely. And so when I was at the ashram, one of the main techniques that we utilized was pulling the energy up the spine, that Shakti, that Prana, that Chi up the spine and to the higher centers or the higher chakras. Excuse me. And what that was said to do was, we have our brain and our spinal cord and our central nervous system, and a lot of that energy is, or the information flows down out into the body and then back up through our five senses. And as we do that, it allows us to interact with our physical world, the 3D plane. And what Kriya Yoga, which is what was taught there, kind of similar to Kundalini Yoga, but essentially what the reason or the steps of the eightfold path of yoga are, the later ones are becoming internalized, going deep within, and then reversing the energy flow back up. So that's not naturally coming down into the senses so we can interact with this world, but it's flowing back. The reverse river of energy in the spine has been reversed up to the higher centers, into the third eye and the crown chakra, to achieve these, to go through the gates of the spiritual eye, or the star, the five-pointed star, into higher dimensions. And that's a huge part of the yogic philosophy while I was at the ashram. But anyway, a huge part of that is just becoming acquainted with the Chi. And that's something that happens differently for different people. Now, it's something that I very much was aware of going to the ashram because of my time in China and my time with Tai Chi, and using that same energy and that movement flow to just tune into that astral body, that subtler body. But anyway, the reason that I bring this all up is because this week I spent a lot of time focused on that energy, doing a lot of Kriya Yoga, doing a lot of bringing the current up and down the spine, and astralizing the spine, and opening and unifying the Kundalini energies in the chakras. But what's interesting is that over the years, as I've been doing that, I've been practicing specifically Kriya Yoga since February of 2011. And as time has gone on, the reorientation of deepening into self has allowed me to recognize that once again I have this astral body, I have this Chi, it's a part of the flow of life and a part of me, but I am still deeper than that. I'm still the consciousness behind that, a conscious observer that we talked about, the soul. And so I have this astral form that can dance in this beautiful dance, and then I can bring up and down, and it can bring this just deep emotional feelings of love and bliss and different ecstatic states that the great masters talk about up. And this week was a really powerful and profound experience. Actually happened last night. I was sitting at a Self-Realization Fellowship circle, and it was just an hour meditation, and most of it was in silence. And I was doing a lot of that work, but I wasn't doing it from a place of trying to beget anything. That was something in the past that a lot of my meditation techniques were to try to grasp for something outside of myself. I'm doing this energy movement to open up my, my higher centers and to travel through them to these realms. But it was yesterday I was doing it from a place of, I'm just doing this. It's just a beautiful act that I am partaking in, that dance of consciousness and energy is happening. And it was without a need for a result. I was just doing it to do it. I was content either way. And so as I practice from that detached place, from that place of I'm at peace no matter what, I am recognizing the divine perfection, the great perfection is in all things. It didn't stop me from doing these techniques. In fact, it allowed me to do the techniques without a need behind them, without a yearning behind them, without an expectation behind them. And as a result, I was just able to just let it dance, just let it do its thing. And it felt as if there was a moment when I was down at my sacral chakra, or my coccyx again, my root chakra, and as I was pulling up, just my entire energy system flowed in and just came up the spine so magnetically that it felt like it was just coming from all angles, outside and internally up. And there was just this beautiful convergence of energy. And it felt like it even pulled the energy within my body that usually separates my physical body from that outside of me in with it. And so there was this subtle disappearance of physical form, just to the energy, just the astral body was present. And as I was going up and down, it was just so beautifully, it felt just like this light cloud of beauty and of the energy just coming through me, and this magnet just pulling it, and just this natural flow and beauty happening without me trying to make it happen, without me trying to want it to happen. And it was just a really profound experience, and something that I wanted to share, because back to the idea of, so often in meditation we're trying to change something. We're meditating to try to not be stressful anymore. We're trying to meditate to achieve enlightenment. And while meditation is a beautiful, dedicated time and practice towards being aware of what is, that's really what it is. Even if we use various techniques that are manipulative techniques, like energy flow, like mantras, like affirmations, like visualizations, all those are trying to manipulate something or change something. But those can still be done if it's being done from a place of surrender, a place of contentment and of peace, of the way things are. For so long, a large part of my practice was essentially I wasn't at peace with what was. I was doing all this to change. I was doing all this to change myself, to change something, to change someone's perspective of me or my perspective of myself, to change. I wanted to become an awakened being. But there's so much resistance in that. There's so much resistance to what was within that already. And letting go of the resistance to what is opens me up to the divine beauty that is. And this is something that just in the last couple of months has really been coming into my practice more and more. I've recognized how much resistance has been there. And this is, it's not a new concept to me, as it probably isn't for a lot of people. But there's a difference between concept and actualization and realization, and the deep experience of it and the true letting go. And I'm in a place of truly letting go of the need to be anywhere but where I am, and recognizing that God realization or that enlightenment is really just a full letting go of resistance to all things, and absorbing into the divine contentment and recognizing the great perfection that is here and now. But once again, that doesn't mean that life stops. It doesn't mean that, well, I'm just going to go lay on the beach somewhere and become a beach bum. If that's what happens, maybe that's your path or that's someone's path. But there's the quote in Buddhism. What does a monk do before enlightenment? Chop wood and carry water. What does a monk do after enlightenment? Chop wood and carry water. We just do it from a much more awakened and centered place, from recognizing the divine perfection that is beneath all things and walking with that with every single breath that we take. And you'll find that same sentiment in so many traditions around the world, even in a samurai code in Japan, Bushido. It's very much recognizing that through the mastery of martial arts and through war, recognizing how precious each and every breath is, and recognizing that no breath is more beautiful than the next. Each one holds the entirety of life within it. And there's the quote that there are those, I'm going to butcher this, there's a quote that I think this comes from Superman, like the original Superman, but there are those who can read the entirety of Art and War or some book and totally miss everything. But then there are those who can read the back of a Tootsie or the popsicle stick and understand the entirety of the universe. And as I totally butcher that, the idea behind it is that anything can become the takeoff point. Anything can beget that awakened experience. And each and every breath is just as precious as the one before. And so as I've recognized that more and more, as I've experienced that more and more, this divine contentment, it's best described as crossing into the now, into the, it feels like it's a different dimension, but what it really feels like is it's the real dimension that's here right now. We're all in it, but it's as if we took off our glasses and these blinders to this what really is, and all of life becomes this just beautiful flow. The Tao, the entire Tao means the way, and the way of the flow of life. Zen Buddhism, the flow, and stepping into that Zen connection that is within all things. And nothing we do is going to hide that from us other than our belief that it is not already here and now. So doing a deep meditation technique like Kriya Yoga, or maybe anything that you know, with divine contentment doesn't make it a meaningless process. In fact, for me, it amplified it. It amplified it so much, and it became such a beautiful thing, to where when it came, when this spiritual experience and all this chi just built up so powerfully came, I was also not attached to it in that moment. It was just, oh, this is beautiful. And when it left, it was like, okay, that was beautiful. It didn't need to stay. It just was a gift. One that I sat in, and once it was gone, I was still in a gift. It was just a different gift. It was just a different moment. And it's profound. It's profound. And so as I continue with this divine contentment, experiencing different things, I personally am going to recognize that I still get to choose what this life looks like. Whether one comes at this from, this is an illusion, or this is a dream, or this is a simulation, or this is a divine play. No matter what it is, or if this is the highest reality, whatever someone's perspective is, I get to choose how I operate. But that doesn't mean that I have to be at the whim of the peaks and troughs of emotions. I don't have to be controlled by the external circumstances. I can carry a divine contentment within me as I make these acts, as I do these things, and they become so much more rooted, so much more beautiful in that place, in that state. And I personally believe that that's what art is. I believe that all true artists have found that connection, especially painters have done their best to capture that dimension I'm talking about. And it looks the same, but there's the depth of feeling, there's the depth of recognizing that beauty within all things. And I think that beauty is that great perfection, captured in art, captured in a breath, captured in the moment. And it's profound. It's absolutely amazing. And it is life changing if one can tap into it. And the more that you tap into it, the more it can be tapped into. And sometimes they come and go, maybe a couple times a year. Other times they come and go, maybe a couple hours. Sometimes one can stay in it for a long time. Sometimes it just doesn't seem to be anywhere near. But it's if we can practice stepping into that more by recognizing that it's always there, nothing is blocking us from it. It becomes so attainable. It becomes so palpable. It just starts to seep in just from that realization, deep in the heart, deep in the mind, deep within the soul. It was a beautiful week, absolutely beautiful week. Hopefully you could tell that. So let me know if you have any questions. This is very much something that as time goes on, if people want to comment, if people want to bring in questions, amazing. Fantastic. If it's something that you're just following along with, maybe picking up a thing here or there, beautiful as well. But I very much, I'm inspired by life, inspired by the beauty that is held within all things, and honored that you are taking the time to follow my journey. There's a lot of gratitude, and it's just a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing when two people kind of come together and walk towards awakening, even though our paths may be different. So thank you all very much, and I will see you next week on A Spiritual Journey.